What's good, homies? This is the Small Hat Crew. I'm Chris, joined today by Brandon and Nick, and we have our special guest, top 16 finisher, Trevor. Today...
I'm sorry, hold on, pause. Are we not Small Hat, Brandon? We just lost that title? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well,
Whatever.
you see, I just introduced us as the Small Hat Crew, and then I named the members of that crew.
I don't even want to be
It's
Small Hat.
redundant. Okay. All right. Small Hat Chris, Small Hat Brandon. We have Peepo Hat Nick, because we've already established this in past videos. And then we have our boy, Top 16.
That's better.
Trevor.
In a treasure cup from like 2 months ago.
Yeah, don't worry about it, bro.
Well, no, but you see, it's because you didn't want another one. You said, you know what? I got my top 16 in OPO2. I'm gonna get my top 16 in OPO3. And you just want one per meta is what it is, right? Yeah. That's all.
Gotta leave enough room for everybody else.
Of course. Because if you get 16, then someone else can't get it. So, but anyway, today we're gonna be just discussing some general. This is gonna be the first iteration or the first video for our Back Table podcast. Brandon, I've heard you don't like the name.
What? Back table? Yeah, no, what?
You don't like the name Back Table podcast?
Nope.
Trevor, what do you think about it? I think it's really good.
Would prefer another one, but it's not my channel.
No. It's just just feedback though, because anyone can get feedback.
Yeah, feedback. Don't like it.
Oh my god! All right, well, this is crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
Is
well.
there any reason why? Because we're under the impression we're at the back tables and just talking shit about everyone else.
The Back Table podcast.
You know what? For some reason, I kept hearing backdoor podcast. So yeah, I guess back tables. I think you should do back tables podcast.
Tables?
Put like a tables. Don't.
You like it plural?
Yeah, I like it plural. Because you guys can have up to 8 people in this podcast at any time. You guys can have a ton of people in this podcast. One table is not going to fit that.
I guess that's valid, but because we're the furthest back table. We're the table that's all the way. We're as back as the table can get.
I think this is not the point of this podcast today, but sure.
Well, okay. Anyway, that's right. So, Whitebeard has taken some damage recently, and we're just gonna give our thoughts on that. If we feel the leader's dead, just anything related to the topic. It's all unscripted and everything, all fresh off the top of the dome, off the slop. So,
like that either.
Off the sloppy top.
Yeah, the dome. Off the sloppy. So, okay. All right. So, I guess do we have to discuss what the changes are? Is that?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the first thing.
Okay, yeah. No, I know. It's just a nice transition into it. To get the conversation moving forward. So, okay.
Juice is flowing.
Yeah, the oozes. Do we? Okay. So, all right. Just off dome, off slop. I remember Radical Beam has been limited. 9 cost Whitebeard has been limited. 4 cost Marco Blocker has been limited.
And that's it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's
was enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't. If Cross's list is anything to go based off of, or his tournament.
We'll get to there.
We'll get there. Okay.
Don't skip.
You're right. Okay. So a lot of knee-jerk reactions have been happening in the community recently. A lot of people fearing that Whitebeard might be dead.
Fearing? Okay.
I take it that you don't. I take it you don't feel that way.
Rejoicing.
Well, I think they might be celebrating a little too early.
I think Brandon's gonna have a bad day on Tuesday when I walk in with Whitebeard, but we'll see how that goes.
Unless there's an effect in Tuesday anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm still walking in with Whitebeard though. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I might not even be going to locals at all this week. With
don't forget Tuesday. Cool Stuff's doing that playmat tournament.
This is so off topic. I'm so sorry. This is my fault.
No, it's a podcast. At this point, there is no on topic.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You're still playing White? Are you taking Whitebeard to the King of the Pirates tournament at Cool Stuff Games on Tuesday, brother?
Funny enough, I think I might put myself at a hindrance doing it, but I may just play either Creature Zoro, or I might just play what I'm thinking is going to be the new Whitebeard list.
Is Creature Zoro gonna run the one of Radical, or are you going full Creature?
I think I would just go full creature. There's like no reason to run any defense. Like either you have it or you don't, and that's how I'm just gonna play the game. Realistically, I don't even really want to be there Tuesday night. I've got a regionals on the 29th, and then I'm traveling to Gen Con. So it's kind of the situation of it's just for a mat, right? It's really just for a mat.
Yeah, no,
Oh no, I already decided I'm not going.
Yeah.
So I think what's really amusing about the ban list, so first of all, I'm gonna say I don't agree with it. I actually don't like it at all.
It's not
I
even-
don't either. Yeah.
So a lot of people were excited because they thought it would kill
They're
Whitebeard.
just rejoicing, yeah, that
Right.
a deck is dead.
And I mean, and I understand the sentiment because he's been dominating he dominated all of OPO2, and he's been dominating OPO3 as well. And if Japan's anything to go based off of, he's supposed to dominate OPO4 as well. So people just feel like it's stale or whatever. Whatever. That's whatever. I'm just kind of tired of seeing it in the mirror matches because grand finals are usually Whitebeard mirror matches, and people are hoping that's not going to be the case after this ban list. What I find most amusing about it though is so the intention was to kill Whitebeard, and I think if that's what they wanted to do, I think they should just ban Whitebeard. I'm gonna be honest. I think Whitebeard wasn't hit the hardest by this
He
ban
means
list.
the leader.
Yeah, the lead. I think they should have banned the leader, Whitebeard. How do you feel about that hot take?
I think if you fully wanted to hit the deck and actually like punish it and not make it where people can even attempt to play it, then yeah. The other thing is I think you hit the leader because what they've done now is hit other decks
Exactly.
inconsequentially, and it hurt a lot of the player base. Like there's people who are playing Ace, and not to say that Ace is a bad deck, but there are people who are playing Ace that are just going to have a rough time now.
Yeah.
There's people playing Ace who are no longer going to be playing Ace.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
I
think Bandai did them a favor though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Ace is nothing without Radical Beam. I know people are saying you just replace the Radical Beams with guard points. But
you're already running those. That's not even a replacement. You're already running those. Technically, the only replacement now is Red Hawk.
I think what's crazy is about it too is because the one hit, I think that matters a lot. And it's not the biggest one for Ace, funnily enough. But 9-drop Whitebeard, because that's a card where you lose him and there's not really any replacing him. What he does, he's so good at. It's because he pretty much makes it so that you are surviving the turn, the opponent's not connecting with you, and then on the following turn you have the biggest body that you could use to attempt to close the game out, because he's so big that at the average 5 life or 5,000 power leader, you need a 4K and a 2K to even stop one of Whitebeard's attacks. So typically when Whitebeard swings, he's killing something. He's connecting and then he's killing something in the process. And that's something I think Ace just loses, and there's no recreating that. I've seen people say you just run Shanks instead. That's insanity to me. They're not the same card by any means. They don't do the same thing at all. Very different cards. I don't know.
Go ahead, Brendan, if you had something to say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the 9-drop being hit. I feel like that card should have been
No.
leader locked to. I feel the card should have been leader locked to Whitebeard Pirates to begin with. Every other kind of boss monster is leader locked, right? 10-drop Big Mom, leader locked. Kaido, leader locked. And then Red just gets his generic fucking powerhouse of a monster. Which definitely needed to be leader locked, which is why I'm very okay with seeing that hit.
Well, it makes sense that he's not, though, because usually they leader lock 10 drops, and Whitebeard's not a 10 drop.
No.
10-drop
as
Luffy
good
from
as
the
a
starter deck is
10-drop.
not leader locked.
He's as good as a 10-drop. 10-drop Kaido, the new 10-drop Kaido isn't leader locked.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what I was saying, 'cause they're
it-
moving away from leader locking the big guys, because the Luffy, for example.
Well, no, we just got a 10-drop Big Mom.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what
We're
the
talking
Red
Gear 5
Luffy,
Luffy,
that's what I'm
not-
saying. Red is not getting any leader lock shit. Red is just like, hey, here's some generic good cards. Here's a generic good boss monster. While every other deck, it's like, hey, here's a really good boss monster that you have to play in a specific deck. Okay. It just doesn't seem,
I don't know.
I don't even want to say it doesn't seem fair, but it doesn't seem fair. It really doesn't.
I mean, I can agree to that sentiment. I mean, the biggest deal about I'll go back to it. First off, Ace. I think the biggest hit for Ace is Radical Beam. 9-Grid was
Yeah, no, it is.
inconsequential, because a lot of Ace alternative deck or Ace decks in OCG were playing Shanks. They weren't even playing 9-Beard.
They were
playing,
already
like,
playing Shanks.
Yeah, because Shanks was what Ace needed was like it could control the board, but it just needed to be able to hit face. Whitebeard didn't hit face the turn it was
Were they
playing. It
using
didn't control the
Shanks
board.
to close the game out, or?
Yeah, exactly.
At
And it's
that
a body.
point, why
It's a
didn't
body they can't get rid of.
Okay, then yes. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was gonna say, if they're just using to close the game out, then at that point, why wouldn't you just run 5-drop Luffy? Because for the same amount of Dawn, he's actually 1k bigger, and he's unblockable by everything. But
So understandably, I get that sentiment.
oh no,
I
if it's the
think-
body, I get it. Because you can't. you
Yeah,
don't
I think
move
it's just
it,
the
Shanks.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think the card that needed to be hit the most on the ban list, and it's like the two cards that needed to be hit the most were actually just Marco and Radbeam. I don't think Ninebeard actually needed to be hit, because if you notice, like Zoros were running away from that card.
Yeah.
So that deck was already straying away from it. Law doesn't play it. Ace was like hit or miss on it. Like some lists were playing it, some lists were not. And then the only deck that'd be playing it is Whitebeard. But if you hit Radbeam and Marco, you've already hit Newgate. You don't need to hit 3 of its cards. I think that's a heavy hit.
No, I agree. And I mean, because this is also taken into consideration. Like, man already has cards on the list.
Yeah, he's the one with the only reason that we have a Nami card on there is because Nami would just be a troll, like you'd just be taking games just due to the fact that it's combo cards.
Yeah.
But the only card that's on that ban list that is actually fully banned and needed to be there was Bow, and I think everyone's going to agree with that.
Yeah, I think because
Yeah.
for me, what it really is like, because like you were saying, the list. That's why I say I would have just banned Whitebeard, because if they just don't want Whitebeard being oppressive and dominating the meta the way that he is, I think you would just hit the leader himself. I get they probably just don't want to hit a leader, because I think that shows massive incompetence if you have to ban a leader that you've released. But the amount of people or leaders getting caught in the crossfire is ridiculous. Because like you were saying, Ace got like shot in the kneecaps. Like it's very, and then it's like if there was ever a reality where you even considered running Luffy again, with 9-drop getting hit, that's not even on the table. There's no world where you would ever do that. Zoro didn't even care about it. It's crazy that Zoro just moved away from all the cards that got hit. It's kind of.
I mean, Zoro always just wants to be fast paced, and
Yeah.
the addition of like 5-drop Marco with Haruta and is just a nasty combo. Like
Yeah.
those two cards alone made like every time Whitebeard cards get printed, they seem to find their way into Zoro, and that's just what's going to keep happening. Just because the engine, those cards are just printed really well. They printed with good stat lines and read really well.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing
funny
about it.
because
Yeah,
like
no, Chris was literally just talking about how every Whitebeard card will eventually see play. Like,
Bro.
people are playing the 1-2 drop 3k Whitebeard card now that on attack minuses 2k in Zoro.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blomenko. Yep.
yeah.
Somebody beat me with Whitey Bay on the sim, and I was really triggered
Well,
about
and you have to
it.
remember, Whitey Bay used to see play too when Kinemon was a deck. Like I think,
Yeah, that was my Tekken. I mean, I think you guys saw me.
remember-
Yeah, no, we did.
That first case tourney, I was playing Whitey Bay against the Kinemon players because I would do Gordon onto their Okiku and then Whitey Bay their Okikus, and it's like, how do you deal with that? You can't deal with that.
yeah, it's
and-
like like every Whitebeard card is just good, and the ones I don't see play, it's because there's better options. But like some deck will
Yep.
eventually find a use for it and pick it up. You know?
Well, and it's like a good representation of like power creep with Whitebeard cards is just like Blenheim to Fossa. Like, what the fuck? Why did Blenheim get power creep in one set?
Yeah, I think for me, I think the biggest example was the fact that I think for me it's like Robin Vista, because they're not really like they're not exactly the same card. And some decks will choose to still run Robin, like Law. But if there was for a
Yeah.
good while, immediately right after Vista came out, Robin just disappeared.
Yep.
She was gone for a good while, so
Yep. It's
Oh.
just she just wasn't fast enough.
she wasn't fast enough. Like the Whitebeard cards are fucking stupid.
And fucking Pelgus sees 0 play because of Marco's existence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
I
another
think
thing. A Whitebeard card that power crept another Whitebeard card.
Yeah, Marco.
That's not a
Yeah,
Whitebeard card.
yeah, no, he's
Oh.
Alabasta.
No, I'm talking Marco. Marco power crept Vista.
No,
Well-
yeah, sure.
Marco really did need to get hit of all of those cards. The 4-drop
For
Marco,
sure.
I completely agree with,
Mhm.
because it's just not a fun card to play against.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, biggest, because for me, what it really is too is that because Leader's getting caught in the crossfire. Because I'm mad about Leader getting caught in the crossfire that isn't even out yet. Red Purple Luffy. We're never gonna get to see that man at full power here in the States. It's so.
I understand the sentiment of like it got hit, but let's be honest. I don't think these cards are going to be here forever. They're the biggest. So let's point out the two biggest reasons. First off, they wouldn't put the subtext under each of these cards that they could be removed for set 4. That's the first thing. The second thing is Bandai would not invest money into printing like an alt art Whitebeard, Jozu, and Marco as our prize cards.
Yes, no, that was the main one. That's the main one.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Now, I get where you're coming from with that, but look at the wanted cards that we got. Dog shit. I'm just saying, the wanted poster cards, like, they went out of their way to print those, and they're for terrible cards, minus the 5-drop Luffy, but that's not even played anymore, so...
Well, he is.
That's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing. We think that they're bad cards, but let's see. So Luffy's still seen played. Actually, the most recent one of the most recent Zora lists that won the regionals was still playing Luffy.
All right.
Kid still playing
7-drop Doflamingo doesn't see play anymore, and
yeah, I think that's the only card that realistically isn't seeing. Like Kaido and Dofi are not seeing play that much, but you have to understand if you see a blue and a purple deck, they're probably still playing those cards though.
Right.
They printed staple cards for each color. Realistically.
I think, because it's like, I get the purple one is 9-drop Kaido. But also, it's just like, who's really playing
But it's also,
Kaido?
what's it in a booster pack as a reprint art versus a winner prize card or a topping prize card.
Yeah.
We're getting a prize card of 4-drop Blocker Marco, which just got hit, 9-drop Whitebeard, which just got hit. We haven't seen that one. And then 5-cost Marco and Jozu as well. So all of these Whitebeard Pirate cards are getting prize reprints. This ban list is not sticking. This is strictly a US testing
However,
thing. In set 4, those cards are free again.
Go ahead, Brennan.
I don't agree with that entirely just because we knew that we were getting those cards prior to the ban list, and I don't think that they would not keep cards limited that need to be limited because they reprinted promo versions of them. I don't agree with
you're
that.
a Yu-Gi-Oh player. You know this happens.
So,
Yeah,
I could
totally different company.
go either way on it. So the main reason because I think we were talking to Trevor yesterday. He brought up a really good point of he kind of feels like Bandai is, and actually Trevor's here, so he can voice it himself. But the sentiment was that it felt like Bandai was kind of using North America as like a testing grounds for like lab rats to feel out how the cards would impact the meta. Trevor, you go ahead and you put it into words, because
Yeah, no. I mean, I think they're doing. So like, there's a game that is also kind of like this. That's always going to be on a different. Like every game is for the most part going to be on different metas, but we're usually not the guinea pigs. The only other game that I can think of that we're the guinea pigs on before Japan gets access to the cards is actually Dragon Ball Super. Funny enough. Because of how that card game set up. It originally came out in Japan. It didn't do too well. They redid the entire card game and how it works in America. It blew up. It popped off. And then they brought it back over to Japan, and now they are behind in sets compared to where America is.
Huh.
And I think what they're realizing is, and I'm grateful for this, because what's happened now is OCG is going to figure out the meta when the set comes out, like in every other card game, and then we're going to copy that meta for the most part, and we'll change a few things because we're America and we're super aggressive, or we're the East and we're whatever, however you want to put that. But now, because we have our own separate ban list, we're coming up with lists, and we have to do things that are just way different and out of the ordinary than what OCG did.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest example of it, and it just happened tonight, was in Cross's tournament. There's 2 Whitebeards in finals, post ban list, because he did a post ban list tournament.
Yeah.
And they're based on Strawbeard and like running like ace and being super aggressive, and not like trying to like protect life, really just taking everything and then like defending late and putting big bodies that just stick. And again, that is Whitebeard, but you're not focused on the 9-beard strategy side of it, which is really cool.
Yeah. It is interesting to think too, because it's like, they do basically just transition right back to Strawbeard, and Strawbeard was good. It was just that, pure Whitebeard was just better. But if you can't play pure Whitebeard anymore, you just go back to what was already proven to be a good deck,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I see it's like, because like you mentioned though, so there are like some changes to it. They're now Strawbeard's choosing to run Chopper, and I think like that big part of that is kind of like having Katakuri, for example, as a leader, because that wasn't something you had to worry about before. Because like a big part of the reason that Whitebeard is a problematic, or I guess was a problematic matchup for Katakuri was because like Marco blocker. If there was because Katakuri has no efficient removal to get a blocker off the board, so it's harder to connect attacks. Because a lot of that deck is just doing a swing, 1 or 2 swings for the turn, and putting a body on the board and passing turn. So blockers really, really do set that leader back. And it looks like now that they've lost Marco to compensate, they're running Chopper to still like keep off aggression from, I would assume, a leader like Katakuri. Because I was gonna say Strawbeard without Chopper, I think Katakuri would just eat that deck alive. But
Well, it's a lot easier for Yellow to deal with a 1-drop blocker. I completely agree. Yellow has no destruction effects, so it's really annoying. But we do have Strucin, and we have what's it called, Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So we can deal with your choppers.
oh yeah, but
So
it's like
But Strucin is you
It's
playing
costly.
a 2k from hand and discarding a trigger to KO
Yeah, but if you're
one
going-
cost.
yeah, it's not because
Yeah.
not nearly as efficient as like just playing a Marco, establishing a body, and killing a blocker in the process.
Correct, but if you're going for game, playing Strucin and getting a card out of hand to get rid of their blocker and then swing with your 12k Big Mom with Dawn on it is a lot better than having to deal with a 4-cost Marco, probably putting it back into life or hoping that you have an extra life to Thunderbolt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the biggest thing, and I do agree with Brandon on that, because like you guys have to understand, like, so there's interactions in the game whenever you're playing that are minute actions that will change how the game is played. So like if I'm playing Whitebeard, I have a one drop blocker, a Luffy that's tapped,
Yeah.
and then I pass, and and I went second this game, right? And I pass, and whatever my Dawn count is whatever yellow Dawn count is 9 Dawn. And actually, Brandon showed me this play. I knew the play existed, but the play exists, right? He had already placed like a 7-drop Big Mom. He goes to 9 Dawn. He plays 1-drop Strucin, pops the chopper, swings Big Mom into Luffy. He usually either A, gets the card or gets 2 cards out of my hand, and then he plays Katakuri to put the Strucin back in life. And those are interactions that like Yellow can now do. And yeah, he discarded a card, but he just gained a life, and he popped the blocker, and he got 2 cards out of
Well,
it.
yeah, no, because like I acknowledge that there is removal. That's why like I was very that's why like I specifically mentioned like efficient, because it feels like with Yellow's removal it's not as ideal, you know, like usually because it's like in other colors. It's like your removal is usually just attached to something else you want to be doing anyway, whereas if Yellow's trying to remove something, that is the play. I think the only exception to that would be like 8-drop Katakuri. He's removal, but he also establishes a body in the process. Whereas all of Yellow's other stuff, it's like, I'm taking a life to do this, or I'm getting rid of my hand to do this, and just stuff like that. Because it just feels like there's you don't just like passively remove a blocker in Yellow. You know, like if you stick a block, because I think it's a big part of like why, for example, like OPO2 when it was like the Luffy Whitebeard matchup, Luffy played really well into like pure Whitebeard. I mean, he played really well into Strawbeard, and it's because they didn't play blockers. So, whereas if now when you brought Marco into the equation, or just any blocker into the equation, it was a much harder matchup than just Strawbeard, because the blockers change everything. You can't be as aggressive.
That's what I say. Like those decks playing little blockers again, and I'm playing Doflamingo again because I'm not back on my bullshit. I'm probably gonna put Teach back in the deck now.
Yeah, because it's the blockers, the little blockers. They really do. They're just relevant. You do feel them. Because when you don't run blockers, essentially what that means in Whitebeard is it means every time I attack you, I'm taking a card out your hand or I'm taking a life, and the blocker now says you actually have to think plays through differently, because you're not guaranteed to remove a resource from me, and these are cards that I could be holding later on in the game when you try to make a big push or something like that, you know, because there's a lot of times too where like Whitebeard can come down to like trying to make that final push to kill them, and if it doesn't connect, that's the end of the game.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So are you still on the sim, Brandon?
Oh no. Sorry, I just realized that we're getting starter deck 8 and 9 in like 2 weeks. That's pretty dope. 3 weeks around there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Off topic. I was looking.
I mean
at
that coincides with kind of what I was going to be talking about. Is like, and the fun fact of like having this ban list and stuff like that is like with those. And he brings up a good point. Those 2 structure decks coming out, the meta is going to shift drastically.
Yeah.
Because Yellow finally gets a going first curve that is insane now. Which is really awesome. I love to see that, because I love when decks get good potential, like good growth and good card. Black technically gets good combo cards with like the Shanks and stuff like that coming in, and maybe we'll start to see more of like a control smoker come back instead of like the more aggressive like Rob Lucci that I would say Rob Lucci's more aggressive. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't see many Rob Lucci's. That's something that's interesting about this ban list, is that it's just, again, it's just going to evolve the meta in a different way. Maybe it won't. Maybe it is still just going to be Whitebeard reigning supreme and just running hit your face rush cards and a bunch of jump blockers. I mean, but I would love to be proven wrong. That's for sure.
What I find most interesting about it is because if Whitebeard does and I don't think it's really an if, because I think because Strawbeard, it was just a good deck. It just was, you know. So I think Whitebeard will still be around. It's interesting though, because initially when the sentiment was that he was dead, it was things like people were saying things like leaders like Kinemon, for example, could make their return. But if they're transitioning back to Strawbeard, because we have to remember, like, we had Whitebeard at one point, and Kinemon was still a deck. It was once Whitebeard transitioned to Strawbeard, that was when Kinemon died, and we're back on that build. And then it's like it's that, and then it was like Kinemon also, because at the top decks were going to be Law and Zoro.
I would say though, didn't you say you got gassed out by a Kinemon today, Trevor?
Well, that's
or was
exactly.
that Arvin?
Yeah. So
No, it was Trevor.
Yeah, it was me. I think Nick just said me, but it doesn't matter. What happened was Kinemon is always going to be a good deck because it just does really well into red somehow. I don't know what the fuck happens with that deck into red. I mean it's just because like they can play board control with like also playing big creatures. And like today, like literally how the turns went was, and I'll remember this game for a good fucking while. I win the die roll. He goes first. He pays the beige. I go second. I play one or two cards. I pass on to him. He uses leader ability, plays Yamato, kills one of my little guys after he plays Yamato. He passes. I play board, swing, whatever, and then without searching, he then plays another Yamato. And from there, I've lost the game because he's controlled my two characters on my boards. I have not been able to swing at all. And then from there, his next card that he plays is 7-drop Kid. Like, the guy was just playing with an insane curve, and then it just, like, progressively got worse for me. There was just nothing else I could do.
Because that was the thing. So it was if the worst matchup Kinemon had was Whitebeard, and people thought Whitebeard was going to die, and the new top deck, or one of the new top decks, was going to be Zoro, which Kinemon plays well into, that was going to be really good for Kinemon players. But it looks like Whitebeard's actually not going to die. So, I think any hopes that Kinemon players had of this ban list affecting their viability in like a large scale event, I think those have just been tarnished.
Maybe. There's still always the chance of like, I mean, unfortunately, Green just doesn't have the, like, until next set, they don't have a boss monster that realistically does a lot. Like, I get Odin swings twice, but it's still not the power of like ripping a life and gaining a life. It's still not the power of board wiping. It's still not the power of gaining 2k and also gaining like not having to take life. Like there are reasons that the Odin is not the powerful boss monster that it once was.
Yeah, especially it doesn't help that now like we have a top tier leader in Katakuri who can just 8-cost it into the life.
Right into life.
Yeah. Yep. I was gonna say there's also Ace with Flame Emperor, but I don't think we're gonna be seeing. I don't think we're seeing that later.
I'd say that is what Bandai succeeded in doing, is just killing Ace.
They did a damn good job making a list that targeted Ace.
I mean, it's
they wanted that leader dead.
It's canon, so
it was. I think it was initially canon. People were saying that Whitebeard died in the Paramount War, and that was very flavorful. But it looks like he survived. he may have survived.
What set are we on? What's the set called that we're on?
Paramount War.
Paramount War.
We're on
No, we're on Poison Strength.
Oh, we are. Right.
Yeah.
Remember Paramount War.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I thought Paramount War was last set. That's why I was super confused.
Look, that's quoting jokes from Discord. That's
yeah. The canon is that he had to die before, like, right after Paramount War. So he died.
It's what ended Paramount War.
Yeah, his death.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Oh, is that why people were playing Shanks? Because he came to end the war?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. See, now you're kind of getting it. Kind of.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Because I firmly believe that Zoro will be the new best deck. I think, what did you say you thought it would be, Trevor? Was it Law or... Because I remember it wasn't Zoro.
I just always think it's Law. I think I think
Because skill did,
like, it's a skill diff situation of like, yeah, Zoro is the generic best deck in the game. But like every time I see a fucking Law player doing well, I'm like, damn, it's just Law. It's just fucking Law.
I don't know, because for me, because it's like good Law players, like.
Well, so that's what I'm saying though. Is like every time I see a good Law player, I'm like, damn, it is just Law that's the best deck in the meta.
For me though, what it is because like I feel like at a certain point, a deck just gets to be so good that it doesn't even matter. I think that's Zoro right now. Or Zoro in a few days. I think Zoro is just so efficient. The fact that deck, like, ideally every time they put a body on the board, it puts another card in their hand. So it's like it's hard to gas out a Zoro player. And then like the bodies just every little body. So not only did it replace itself in your hand, but then next turn it's picking a card out of your hand in the process. So that's a card advantage of 2 per body that makes a swing. Like, it is so degenerate. I think that deck has gotten so stupid, and now that they have Haruta, I think the deck's only gotten even more stupid. The fact that like Zoro at one point just got rid of all their blockers, I think that's just a testament to how face degenerate that deck got. And I think with Whitebeard being forced onto Strawbeard, I think Zoro just goes stupid. I think Zoro just goes absolutely stupid, because their blocker now is Chopper, and Zoro, you know, they're running Vista, they're running Marco. I think Zoro is just going to eat Whitebeard alive. And I don't know, it could just be me, but I would feel like between Marco and Vista that Zoro would also have a really good Law matchup. I don't know. You play that matchup a lot. You speak on that.
I mean, like, Zoro will always have a good matchup in anything if it just has the gas. But the problem is if you don't have the gas, what do you do? Like, that's the difference. That's why I have a love-hate relationship with that deck, because it just doesn't feel like all the time you're firing. And when you're not firing, it feels like you're just you're just a vanilla leader that's just got nothing to do. Absolutely nothing. Fair.
But I feel like Law not firing is even worse.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but that's yeah. I won't disagree with you. Like I said, I think generically Zoro is always going to be a better deck, but I have a lot of respect for every time I see a good Law player.
Yeah. Well, no, definitely. I get that. Because it's like the most skill-intensive deck. I think that's why Law players are the most respected players as far as like competitively go. I don't know. Brandon, Nick, who do you think, with our list in place, who do you think takes over the meta?
Oh, Law for sure.
You think it's Law?
Yeah, Law was already competing with Whitebeard for first spot in my opinion. So I think this kind of just opened, because they didn't hit anything for like Zoro and Law, which to me would have been Curly. I think Curly needs to hit, if anything. That's just my 2 cents.
Right. Well, so because for me, what it is because remember before it was like I felt Whitebeard and Law were the 2 best decks. But I think because Whitebeard has been hit, because I feel like Whitebeard is one of the things that was keeping Zoro in check, and I think with Whitebeard switching over to Strawbeard is what promotes Zoro to now be able to just compete with Law. Nick, your take?
No, I agreed. I think Law is up there, but Law has a huge pilot diff. I think the amount of good Law players is going to be outshined by the number of Zoro players. And that's what will be represented at tournaments. So I think Law is the best deck, but Zoro will be more represented because it's easier to pilot.
That's how I kind of feel too, because I kind of feel like a good Law player, like if there's ever just a point where their deck doesn't give it to them and they get like a bad tiebreaker or something, because odds are they'll be playing against multiple Zoros. And if they're the better pilot, but their deck just doesn't give it to them, and then the Zoro player is just allowed to go burr on them, I could see, because realistically, I feel like all the good Law players, as far as like performance goes, I feel like they're all in like one hand maybe, and you know, and they're not all at the same events and everything. So I feel like, I feel like Zoro is gonna be the deck that's gonna have far more tops. Because, like, I don't know. It's like there are good Law players, but there's so little that, like, we kind of know all of them. Whereas it feels like any random Zoro could just get in there, you know? Yeah. I don't know. But also now that we're switching over to Strawbeard, because I remember with the death of Whitebeard, one thing people talked about, myself included, was the rise of Katakuri. But it looks like that may not be the case either. So I don't know. Our meta not be changing? I mean, it's going to change. That much is a given. I don't think it's gonna be changing nearly as much as people expect it to. I think it'll probably still be the same leaders. I don't think it's gonna be as big a shift as. I think the biggest shift is just gonna be that like Ace, who was kind of just like on the outskirts of being one of the good leaders, he's taking out the conversation.
Yeah.
And then I think because if Whitebeard remains playable, because I remember one thing I was talking, I think I've talked to everybody in this group about for the most part, but I kind of felt like Lucci would die as a leader and Smoker would take his place, because I thought the best decks would be Law and Zoro, and Smoker plays into those two leaders better than Lucci, because the one thing Lucci had over Zoro was that he could close out a game against Whitebeard, who was the best leader, and if Zoro died, if Whitebeard died, then there would no longer be a need for that. So you would just go with a more consistent leader, and that would have been Smoker. But if Whitebeard's still going to be in the meta, then I think Lucci remains the dominant black leader. Like, I just don't see the meta shaking up nearly as much as people think or expect it to.
Bringing race into it, lovely.
Yes.
Race is always part of the conversation, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't think that it's going to change too drastically. I would love to see a little bit of change. And then the other thing is I had a point. I think I think I lost it. It's over, dude. You know, it's
All good.
Gone.
All good. Because I think I think a big part of it is just the fact that Whitebeard wasn't crucified the way people thought he would be.
Yeah.
It's the biggest loser of the ban list. It was Ace. It was Ace. I don't know. Because that was the main thing. It was supposed to be Zoro and Law, because Whitebeard's out the conversation, and that would demote Lucci, which likely isn't going to happen, would promote Katakuri, which probably isn't going to happen, Kinemon probably wouldn't happen, Magellan would lose his quote-unquote best matchup.
Well, technically it still did, because now we just don't even give a shit about getting to 9. Like, actually, like, it lost its it lost its best matchup because we just don't give a shit about getting to 9 anymore.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that.
And like I said, I was talking to you guys about it. I'm just not enjoying the game without playing Whitebeard. I don't know what it is, but that guy, I've fallen in love with him as a leader.
That's crazy.
I think it's just, I think because like it feels so, like, I know it sounds dumb, right? But it feels so good to win with Whitebeard. Like when you're just sitting at 0 life for 3 or 4 turns. Like, it's just a good feeling to just not die after 3 or 4
Is
turns.
it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
It's crazy because for a good while, to me, you were like, I always viewed you as the Zoro ride or die, but you switched up so hard.
Because Zoro just felt unplayable into Whitebeard, and then like, and I figured out why. It's like Zoro's like, Whitebeard just feels almost impossible. Like it's a mountain to climb over Whitebeard, and I think Brandon can attest to that. He's the one who's been playing set 3 the most out of all, like, or most of you 3, right? That isn't me. It's Brandon understands, and I know why Brandon has huge hatred for this fucking deck. It for a while there, Yellow just had an impossible time into it. Like it was impossible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my hatred went the strongest because it took me out the game.
Well, maybe
I just refused to play this.
Maybe you can come back now. LOL.
I'm thinking, God, when this game gets to OPO4, it's over. It's a done deal for everybody. It's a wrap. It's gonna be crazy because once we get into OPO4, every single treasure cup, funnily enough, is gonna be won by me. Even like there's still be 2 happening on the same day, IRL and online, and I'll win both of them.
Really?
Like, I've been grinding OPO4. You don't understand. Well, actually, you do understand.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I do understand.
The amount of time, and it's crazy too, because it's like not only is it's the biggest waste of time ever. Because not only is it testing OPO4, it's testing OPO4 without all the cards.
Wait, do we still not have all the cards on the sim?
Fuck no, dude. This sim has not been updated for over a month.
It's been over a month, yeah.
Wow.
I think we're going on the 6th week now.
We do have all the OPO4 cards. What are we missing?
It's the
red
structure.
purple starter.
Oh, that's not an
And then,
card.
and then also there are cards from OPO4 that just functionally do not work, like Nez Palm Cannon or whatever.
Yeah, the 3 cost 6k counter that ramps it on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's like all this testing has meant nothing.
Have you guys tried playing on Tabletop Simulator?
I've mentioned it a lot. We just never do it for some reason.
Do you guys want to try tonight? I'd be down.
Nope.
I'd be down for that 100%.
I cannot.
No,
Oh, yeah.
you can't.
It's valid.
I mean, so Brandon and Chris, we can get that for a video.
Oh yeah, no, that's still dope. I don't know. I think the only thing that changes, because I think all the meta leaders, except for Ace, mostly remain in the same places they already are.
Yep.
I think it's just that, you know, Whitebeard probably just moves down a little bit,
I think that's agreeable.
but he's still good.
Yeah.
And Law and Zoro just move up, and that's it. I think it'll be more diverse. I mean, I don't think it'll be like we'll see a more diverse amount of leaders, but I mean, from the leaders that are the top, representation between them won't be as degenerate. Because wasn't it today's regional, or where top 8 was 4 Whitebeard players?
Yeah,
I don't think
was,
we'll be seeing that ever again.
So again, that wasn't top 8. That was round like 8, where there was
undefeated.
There were 8 undefeated. 4 of them were Whitebeard.
What one?
Whitebeard,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's at least one thing. Because I think right now it's just how overrepresented Whitebeard is the problem for a lot of people. So I think Whitebeard, I think this is probably good for him, where it's, he'll still be a meta, he'll still be a viable leader, he'll still be a top tier leader even, but it won't be one of those things where you go into every single event expecting the Whitebeard to win. Because that kind of kills like a lot of it for people. It's like, why, it's like if you already know what the deck that's going to win is, then it takes a lot of the fun out of it. Cause I don't know. It's half of it is like going into a tournament and wanting to see which deck is going to do it. Cause it's one of those things where like when another leader won, it was like it was celebrated because it was a break from the norm. The status quo is Whitebeard winning, you know. So
That's agreeable.
I don't know, and that's and it's another one of those things too where even if Whitebeard does win, maybe like we'll get to see Whitebeard playing against another leader for a change in grand finals. Because like the mirrors will probably still happen, but I don't think they'll be nearly as prevalent as they are right now. Because right now it's soul draining. It is.
We will see. Because again, first tournament that I've ever seen on the ban list is a Whitebeard mirror in finals. So and a lot of players in that tournament were probably not pushovers. So I would agree. I would hold my breath. That's all I can really tell you.
Yeah, I think for me it's just because I think because I'm sure like they're good players and everything, but also I feel like when you have an event where people invest money into flights and everything, you know, that's where the cream of the crop comes from. You know, people are financially invested, and they are there in Airbnbs and hotels for 1 to 2 days, and you know, it's like I'm here. I have to top. I have to have something to show for this, right? Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh my fucking god, this cat.
We will see.
You know, I don't know. I think that's mostly it for that conversation, unless anybody feels there's anything we've neglected to mention or talk on or anything like that.
I don't think from my end do I have anything.
No.
Nope.
All right, well then I guess with that one we'll go ahead and close that one out. Thank you for coming on, Trevor.
No.
Always love having you on because it's not a common occurrence by any means. So
Thanks for having me.
it's always special when it happens. But I guess with that being said, until next time, we'll see you guys.
Later, homies.
Later.